Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel, Basic Economics with Joseph. Today's topic of conversation is about patriotism, nationalism, and pride. All right. First thing I'd like to say is ignorance is bliss. I would disagree, and the reason why I would disagree, ladies and gentlemen, is because if I remained ignorant and I stayed with the status quo and I didn't self-educate, I would not be here right now talking to you all about what I've been learning from economics, financial literacy, business, taxes. It's gold, silver. It's been amazing journey. Like I say, my only regret is I wish I would have learned this when I was 20 instead of at 32 years old. But it's been an amazing journey. I love it, and I've been very, very fortunate, and it's been wonderful. All right. With that being said, when you when you I guess you could say, when you start to self-educate, you learn, and see stuff away from, I guess you could say, the traditional forms of media, whether it's social media, traditional media, school, movies, music, whatever. Um, you start to see the world differently. And for me personally, I think it's, like I told you, it's been great, and it's been wonderful, and it's actually probably saved my life because you can't, because honestly, the way I look at it, society basically wants to make a lion act like a house cat. All right. Now I want you guys to think about that analogy on your own. Okay. Now, when it comes to, when you learn about economics, you learn about the world, you learn about government, history, you learn about types of economies and everything of that sorts. And I guess, like I say, is, ladies and gentlemen, I am what you would call, I'm I guess I have patriotism. I guess I'm a patriot. I mean, have served in the military. I continue to serve in the military and in the National Guard, as well as I continue to serve my country, via taxes, creating businesses, having children, just being a contributing member of society. All right. I guess you could say I'm a nationalist. Now, obviously, the word nationalism has been weaponized today, and then, of course, the media, ladies and gentlemen. Again, they're remember, ladies and gentlemen, their job is to be, fear mongering, and I've spoon fed the propaganda, and anytime they talk about nationalism, they always want to put some type of negative connotation on it. Oh, this person is a white nationalist, or they're a black nationalist, whatever. Okay, whatever. Being a nationalist is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Actually, I have definitions for patriotism and nationalism. The definition for nationalism is identification with one own nation and support for its interest, especially to the exclusion or detriment of interests of other countries. Excuse me, other nations. Now, does that sound like a bad thing? Putting the interest of your country first. Why? Why would any common sense, hardworking person not want the best interest for their country? Let's not even start the country. How about for their neighborhood? How about for their house? Start low. How about for their home? I want to make sure my home is safe. Yes. How about for my community? I want to make sure my community is safe. How about my state? I want to make sure my state is safe. And then obviously my city, and then my country. If is that what a nationalist is, then I'm guilty. Any forward thinking person, most people, I think, would actually advocate for that. I want to be in a safe environment. And I want to make sure that it's for the best interest of me, my family, my friends. All right. That, and same thing. What and patriotism is basically the same thing. The quality of being patriotic, devotion to, and vigorous support for one's country. It sounds the same thing to me. Now, I get it. Right now, with what's going on economically, politically, and socially around the country. Um, I think a lot of people are coming from a position of ignorance. Why would I say that? Because I came from a position of ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. I will sit here and I will be very, very transparent with you. I came from a position of ignorance when it came to the way things. I used to have very social, very anti-American, very socialist views before I started to self-educate. There's a reason why they do not teach money in school, because you're going to come to the same conclusions as I do as you continue to self-educate. I always, and I know I've told the story before. I always repeat about that about the excuse me sorry about the Trump versus Hillary, when they had that 2016 debate, and Trump was like, I don't pay taxes because of because I'm smart, whatever. And me at that time, because of my ignorance and lack of education, my mindset was, who does he think he is? He needs to pay his fair share. I sound like a total socialist. All right. Now, years later, when I started to self educate in terms of financial literacy, reading books like Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, and then obviously understanding thoroughly the more about the Constitution and gold and silver, and understanding self enterprise and entrepreneurship and capitalism, especially the tax code. I often talk about the book Tax Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. It it showed me that, hey, the reason why, again, when hey, the reason why so and so does not pay federal income tax is because they're an entrepreneur. How can you tax someone who, quote unquote, doesn't have a job? I have a vending machine company, ladies and gentlemen. How I know, yes, I pay taxes on my vending machine company, but I don't pay federal income tax. And then I try to find all the depreciation and deductions and write-offs that I can, so I can reinvest that money back into my business instead of paying it in taxes. All right. And patriotism, the same thing. I have served my country, and I support my country. Ladies and gentlemen, America is I mean, I'm pretty sure that everybody from their own country would say their country is the best. You talk to somebody from China, they'll probably be like, China's the best. From Japan, they probably say Japan is the best. From Brazil, you know what I mean? Everybody from their country will probably say their country's the best. Um, and have pride in your country. I hear people all the time from other nations. They're very proud to be Japanese or Kenyan or South African. They're very, very proud of that. But when did being when did having the best interest for my country and being proud of my country, when has that when why is that negative? It's very, very silly. Again, I get it. We've been spoon fed the propaganda and whatever. And so many people, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, the reason why you see them out there doing what they're doing is because of ignorance. Because I was the same way. All right. I'm not going to, but, and so I guess it is, gentlemen. I am what you call, I'm a patriot. I'm patriotic. I am a nationalist. All right. I want what's best for my country. And I'm proud to being an American. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have a lot of fundamental issues that need to be taken care of. Now, if you listen to my video, I talk about privilege. And as Americans, we are so privileged that we are abusing that privilege to the point where I talk about it in my video, we are oppressing ourselves because of that ignorance. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think. All right. And that's one thing about me. We can have an open discourse, a conversation, good, bad, ugly. I don't care. I'm at the point now where understand. Actually, next video, but I'll next video. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about being patriotism, nationalism, being prideful in your country. What you think about that? But like I always say, educate yourself and educate others. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.